Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Benue. My name is Mercy Upa.
My name is Steven Abba. Welcome to the show.
On Daybreak Benue this morning, we are going to shift our attention to the synergy between state, federal for project delivery and development under Governor Hyacinth Yomem earlier. And we're expecting to have with us in the studio the distinguished Sam Agua, a good governance advocate / public affairs analyst. And in the course of the program, we are going to shift our attention to what's happening with the NAD strike. We had recently had a conversation with the President Association of Resident Doctors, FMC Makudi, and he's going to come and give us a follow-up or more updates concerning that strike. Already, patients are stranded in most hospitals, states like Abuja, because of this NAD strike. We'll find out more and concerning steps taken for the release of Dr. Ganiyat Bola, the one of the main reasons behind NAD strike to begin with. But first, let's turn our attention to the price of goods and services out there, particularly in our market. Stephen, what do we have?
Okay, well, the Federal Government Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC gave a month's notice to traders and other market stakeholders involved in exploitative pricing to crash the prices of goods. The Executive Vice Chairman of the FCCPC, Mr. Tunji Bello, gave the order at a one-day stakeholders engagement on exploitative pricing Thursday in Abuja. According to Bello, the Commission will begin enforcing after the expiration of the notice. He said the meeting was to address the growing trend of unreasonable pricing of consumer goods and services and unwholesome practices of market associations.
Wow.
I think this is good news.
Well, I would like to see that they follow through.
Yeah.
We have had ultimatums, we have had warnings, we have had even them coming out. It has gone as far as the regulators moving around supermarkets to checkmate the prices of goods and services.
Yeah.
But that did not in any way translate to the reality on ground, especially those who patronize markets, the local markets. The prices keep moving higher.
Yeah.
So beyond all the ultimatum they are giving, I'll wait to see that the prices actually step down. Because now people are actually exploiting the situation, taking advantage. One expected that when we're beginning to have new crops come up in the markets, the prices will step down. But as they are coming up now, people have seen the benefits in putting high prices, how they can gain so much from it. So as they are coming fresh from the farmlands, they are coming along with that very high price. How much is bag of millet of maize right now? Over 100,000 naira.
Yeah.
Not to talk of millets, right?
Yeah.
And these are things that are just coming out. So when it dashing away the hope that when people begin to harvest crops, then the situation will be cushioned, prices will come down. All that hope is being dashed. So for federal government really have to do something drastic about this situation.
I also think this is the right step to the best direction, because for me, this is the first time I heard that the federal government is actually going to do something about the pricing in our markets. And if they are saying this, I think first it's going to give the average Nigerian some kind of hope. And of course, we are going to hold the government to their words that you said you are going to do this after 1 month. So what is happening? And I know Nigerians will cry out after the expiration of this date.
Well,
and government will actually do something about it.
It goes beyond the federal government again, compelling business owners or marketers to step down the prices. They need to step down the prices of petroleum, because that's the clause of the whole thing. That's where it all begins. Many people are pointing out that the cost of transportation of moving these goods, even from the farmlands to the marketplaces, is extremely high. So they need to recoup or recover their resources. So federal government, if they want to do something about it, they first begin with the root cause of this problem. Price of petroleum. Nigerians are getting petroleum over 800 naira. Some filling stations are going for 820 naira. That's 850 naira. That's ridiculous to even think about it, right? So they should step it down so Nigerians will buy it. Then let's see the excuse that they'll come up with again. But
you have a very serious point there. And I think this calls for recommendation, as in or higher places where I can give a very lofty advice. Because if you're talking about pricing as far as commodities, consumables are concerned, then you should also be looking at what controls all these prices: petroleum, petrol, fuel, and the rest of them. So if government can do something about the pricing of the meterage or the literage, at the filling stations. I think this will go a long way in encouraging people to reduce the prices of their goods.
All right, let's just go for a brief break. When we'll come back, we'll turn our attention to NAD strike. Matters are rising. Remember, you can always be part of Daybreak Benue via our social media platform. Drop your comments, your questions. I'll be more than happy to interact with you on that medium. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman Media.
Governor Hyacinth earlier directs that the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Creativity engage someone who has the capacity to assemble stakeholders in the film industry across the country to develop talents that abound in Benue State so that the industry will become more viable. Represented by his Commissioner for Youth, Sports and Creativity, Mr. Tekin Bikange, the governor says with the presentation of the letter of engagement, the Benue State government has given the consultant the mandate to coordinate the activities of the film industry in the state. He says the appointee will be expected to expose Benue talents to the outside world, thereby connecting the Benue film industry to Nollywood.
The film production of film industry is also part of creativity. It's an ingenuity that people can get thoughts together through writing, through playmaking and others for entertainment. And so we felt that as a ministry, we need somebody who has the capacity, who has the track record, who has the potentials to galvanize support, to get film producers, to get organizations that can help develop the talent that are bound together so that we can develop it and make that aspect of military more viable and move forward.
The consultant and executive director, Greenland Movie Production Abuja, Mr. David Fiasi, who has the mandate to bring together and develop talents in the state, says the movie industry in the state is capable of generating billions of naira annually.
I will be working with all the relevant stakeholders in the state and beyond to ensure that we add great value to the industry and empower our youth to be self-sufficient and to boost the image and economy of the state.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Creativity is to mobilize staff to ensure that the mandate of Governor Alia is fully implemented for the benefit of the youths and the state. Emmanuel Akula, Benue Vision News, Makudi.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is a Daybreak Benue this lovely Friday morning, and we're here turning our attention to NAD strike matters arising. On a Monday, the NAD, that is the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, they commenced a 7-day warning strike, and that is to push for the rescue of a Kaduna-based doctor, Dr. Ganiyat Bukola, who was kidnapped last December and has spent about 8 months, in the abductors' den. And when the strike commenced, patients were left stranded because it commenced nationwide, and hospitals were partially or not, if not fully shut down. And you know the implication of that, especially for patients with who are ill or who are in a serious need or urgent need of medical care. Some were asked to go back and return when this warning strike is over, and the others just were redirected to private hospitals who may be open to attend to them. The situation was quite alarming and shocking for Nigeria as a whole to deal with this in the midst of all that is happening. And there was actually a meeting with the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tunji Alausa, on Monday. And then he met with the leadership of NAD over the situation and promised to write to the security agencies and get back to them. In the studio with us to have a conversation on matters arising concerning this NAD strike is no other but Dr. Fanen Dogo, President Association of Resident Doctors FMT Makudi. He is a Deputy Caucus leader of the North Central Caucus of NAD. You're most welcome to Daybreak Benue this morning.
Thank you.
So from our last conversation, your association was yet to embark on this 7 days warning strike, and ultimatum was just given. For this strike to come, warning strike to commence means the ultimatum was not taken seriously. Do you mind walking us down, because now Nigerians are suffering the implication of this warning strike? If doctors go for strike even for a second, there is so much outcry out there. We're seeing that outcry happen right now. Some Nigerians are wondering, why are doctors on strike? Do you mind walking us or refreshing our minds again the reason behind this strike?
All right, thank you very much for having me again once more this morning. I'm a little bit under the weather, that's why my voice is like this, so forgive me. Well, I think last week or so, 2 weeks ago, I was with you here, and we x-rayed the issues surrounding the kidnap of one of our colleagues, Dr. Ganiat Pokwala, who has been in captivity for about 8 months now. As at the time we met, it was about 7 months and some weeks. So this is about 8 months now that she was kidnapped in our house, alongside her husband and her nephew. When we did our protest and we tried to engage the media, tried to engage the government, the truth is the government didn't really respond, and I told you earlier, when we met the last time, that our plan was that if the government does not respond, we were going to embark on a strike. And after the protests, when the government didn't do anything significant, we decided to proceed on the strike. It was a 7-day warning strike. Today is the 5th day of the strike. After we commenced the strike, we got calls from various places. The Ministry of Health have engaged us, the Ministry of Labour has engaged us, security agencies have engaged us. They've tried to tell us that they're trying to see what they can do and all that. So we're engaging with security agencies and necessary authorities. But as today, she's not yet released. So there's nothing to be too happy about yet. Because what we want is for her to be released.
Recall that shortly after we had a conversation, not shortly after we had a conversation, but when the news of her being adopted was really made public for the world to see, and that happened when your association made this gave this ultimatum for a warning strike. If she was, that is when Nigerians' minds were drawn to the fact that one of your member has been in the captive den for 7 months and counting. Shortly after that, there was an abduction of some medical students along Otukpo Road there. But we have seen the release of these abducted medical students. Would you say that it was your call that prompted a swift release of that medical students? And if yes, why is that of Dr. Ganiat Pokwala taking so long?
Okay, I'm not a security expert, but yes, of course, our call was one of the contributing factors to those students and the doctor, because there were about 19 students and the doctor being released. But from what we were able to understand from security experts, is that usually when somebody is kidnapped, the best time to try to get them released is within the first 1 week. Yeah, but once it takes more than a week, it becomes a bit more complicated. The reason is that they understand that of course these hoodlums or militants or whoever they are, they tend to change places, do a lot of, so sometimes tracing these people becomes more difficult. Sometimes they are in places where it's not very easy for security agents to reach and all that. So I think that was why that of the students was easy, because of course the national outcry was massive. So security agents had to go to go to work, comb the place, and of course we knew that they did a lot. We had helicopters flying everywhere. We had a lot of people going into the bush and all that, because it was within the first 1 week. But in the case of Dr. Pokwala, I think it has fettered for a long time, and it has become a bit more complicated from what we've gathered. Reaching these people, they are in the midst, they are where they are may not be so. I think the security agents probably know where they are. I don't know, but I think it becomes a bit more complex the longer it stays. So I think that is the challenge we are having right now. But of course, not to divulge any security. Of course, we've had some meetings with security agencies. These are security matters. They're not things you can discuss on national TV. So I think that is the situation we find ourselves in.
Don't you think is because just like you said, anytime a kidnap happens, it is usually important and necessary that you pursue it almost immediately. But anytime other events begin to crop up, it reduces the intensity of attention that gets. Don't you think is the reason why this is happening to Dr. Bobola? Because between December and now, a lot has happened that must have taken the attention of the government. But if you recall what happened, where the abduction of the students and a doctor, when it happened, in Benue State especially, there may not have been much the event that must have taken a negative event that must have taken, so the concentration was high. Could it be the reason?
Yeah, well, that could also be a reason, but I don't want us to be making excuses for government, because we shouldn't be having the issues of kidnapping are becoming too rampant. In fact, I think we have, aside the issue of a doctor being kidnapped or doctors or students being kidnapped, the kidnapping issue is becoming too rampant. In fact, to a point that I think people don't even report it again. Once somebody is kidnapped, the family just tries to look for ransom and pay, those kind of things. It's like people have taken it has become a part of our life in the country, and I think it's wrong. The issue of something is coming up is distracting. It shouldn't even arise. We should be secure. Our lives, our properties should be secured. And I don't want to excuse security agencies by saying that okay, other things come up and then we forget about it. It's not just about the life of Dr. Popoala. We are aware that where she is, there are other people that are there that were kidnapped as well. She's not even the only person. But of course, she's the one that is our colleague, and as an association, she's the one that we're fighting majorly for, because it contains her directly. But it should not be a situation where we should have people being kidnapped every day. Now, I was supposed to travel some days ago, so somewhere. I couldn't go by road because of the fear of security. There's many people who can't travel now because of fear of being kidnapped or being molested or harassed. It shouldn't be so. This is our country. We should be free to move around, freely. So it's becoming something that I think the government really, really needs to do something about. The security situation is bad.
Okay, let's talk about the outcome of the meeting with the Minister of Health and the leadership of the NAD, because from the information we got from the president of NAD, Dr. Dele Abdullahi, and this is what he said. The minister said, they met with the minister, and he said he would write the National Security Advisor Nuhu Rabidu regarding the issue and get back to them. This response coming in from the Minister of Health at a time like this, when we're already days, when the warning strike already commenced, and him saying he will write to the security advisor at a critical time like this. What do you think of this response from the minister?
Well, it's unfortunate, but what the minister said is not impressive at all. I feel it's not. I can't clap for him because of that. This lady has been kidnapped for 8 months. If the minister claims that he's not aware that she has been kidnapped, then it's unfortunate, because we've tried to engage the ministry over this particular issue since December. We gave a 1-week ultimatum, and he's only coming to come and say he will write the NSA after we have gone on strike. So is he saying that he has not been aware that she has been kidnapped all this while, that he didn't write the NSA? Is now that they are striking that he was going to write NSA?
Or could it be that he has not taken any action on his own part?
That's obviously what it means. That's what it means. It means he didn't take it seriously. This is very sad. How can you come and be telling us after we've gone on strike, after we give a 1-week ultimatum, that you are going to write NSA? What sort of insensitive statement is that? He means all this while he didn't know that somebody was kidnapped. It's after we have gone on strike, he's writing NSA. This is very sad. I mean, this lady has been in captivity for months, and the ministry is aware that she has been in captivity for months. They didn't do anything about it until we went on strike. They're now coming to come and see the Uganda. Of course, well, that is the essence why we went on strike, so that they can sit up. And well, we're happy that they have sat up. You know, at least they're trying. They are seeing to do something.
8 months, have you confirmed that she's alive?
Yeah, she's alive. At least as at we had a meeting. At least as at I think day before yesterday that I was able to have contact with a few of my colleagues up there. She's alive. We are aware that she's alive. As at day before yesterday that we spoke, yeah, she's alive. So
how long will this strike last?
No, it's a warning strike, just 7 days. We are going to call off the strike by Sunday. Well, not call off the strike. Yeah, we are going to have a meeting, maybe by this evening, the National Executive Council meeting this evening, and we're going to X-ray our engagement with the security agencies and what we have been able to do so far, and then we'll take a decision. But the initial strike or the current strike is just a warning strike of 7 days.
Okay.
So we expect that it should be called off by midnight or 12 a.m. on Monday or Sunday rather. So by Monday we should be back to work. Well, that decides on what decision we take in our meeting maybe later today.
So what is the situation report of the hospitals right now, especially the patients?
Of course we are not working, so we've not been going to work, except for the strike monitoring committee that has been going around to check what's happening in the hospitals. But the truth is that I want to apologize to Nigerians, and of course those of us that are in Benue State too, dear Benue citizens, for the stress that they probably have passed through because of this strike. It's not deliberate. You just have to understand with us. I know the services have been scaled down. I was in the hospital yesterday for something else, and the services have been scaled down. People may have passed through some challenges, and we're really sorry for that. But of course, you have to understand with us. Somebody's life is on the line here. We're trying to see how she can be saved.
Okay, Dr. Fanan, due to the dilapidated nature of our government-owned hospitals, many residents were very uncomfortable patronizing government-owned hospitals. Why would patronize a hospital when they have no choice? That was the mindset, the popular mindset out there. When they're short of incomes, they will rather go to private hospitals. And now that this strike has shut down these government hospitals, permit me to use the words that many people already felt uncomfortable patronizing, and now they'll find an alternative to see how they'll be able to afford public hospitals. Don't you think it will even affect the patronage of government hospitals when this warning strike has been called off, or solution has been brought on board and everything is resolved? Because already they're referring people now to, you're having government-owned doctors working in government hospitals refer people to private hospitals. When they come, they say, sorry, go to private hospital, we're on strike. They're already showing them the direction. Already they were not even comfortable coming to. Most of them were not even comfortable because of the dilapidated nature of our government-owned hospitals. So don't you think this will even affect the hospitals, the government-owned hospitals?
Economically.
Okay, well, the issues of the health sector don't affect just public hospitals. As the truth, they affect even private hospitals. Issues of the health sector are beyond structure. There are a lot of issues now. Of course, like because of the economic situation, it's not just the private hospital. I mean, the public hospital have been affected. Even the public hospital have been strained because the light bill has gone up, power bill has gone up. The materials that we use, the prices have gone up, so everywhere is strained. And like you rightly said, most times the public hospitals rather are a bit subsidized. So even if you feel that the hospitals are dilapidated, sometimes you don't have a choice, because the services there are relatively cheaper. That's one. Secondly, for the hospital where I work, it's a tertiary hospital, so there's an level of expertise that we offer that you may not find in some private hospitals, because we have specialists ranging from across various fields that offer certain things that you may not find in private hospitals. So even if you don't like the structure, the expertise is there, the human capital is there, so you have to come. So we really want the best for our patients. Unfortunately, government is not doing enough. We hope that they will sit up and do what they're supposed to do. But it's not just affecting just the public. The public hospitals, even private hospitals have their own challenges. But but the thing is that we know that after the strike, our patients will still come back because of the kind of expertise that we offer. So, in any case, the skeletal services are going on because the consultant are still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
This warning strike began on Monday. So as looking at the calendar, it's already 5 days into the warning strike, and it was intended to be a 7-day warning strike. Means time is ticking for you to resume. Earlier you made mention that there'll be a meeting, that you decide the outcome. But if there is no response, because by the mere virtue of the word warning strike, it means to prepare people's mind that there will be a strike if nothing is done about it. So if nothing is actually done about it, what next?
Well, from our engagements with government and security agencies, something is already being done. And so if we say nothing is being done, we will not be fair to the government side. I think they are already trying to see what they can do to see how that our colleagues is released. On our own part, we want it to be done faster than it's going. But like I said, I can't preempt the Congress.
But do you see the release of, or do you see the effort being put by government currently leading to the release of Dr. Ganiat? I mean, for goodness sake, we had the Chibok girls in captivity, and up to now, they are still there. And once upon a time, we had government's efforts trying to see to their release.
Well, we are hopeful.
And mind you, Dr. Ganiat, by the virtue of her profession, she may be very instrumental to these bandits, and they may be reluctant to let her go.
Yeah, that's very true. That's true. But we are hopeful that she will be released. The issues of security are a bit complex, and there are also issues that you can't be speaking on air about. So there's some certain information that I'm not comfortable talking about here.
I understand.
However, we are hopeful that she will be released. I know for most of these kidnappers, what they want is money. That's the truth. I don't know if they have a personal issue with the lady, but I think it's basically money that is a problem.
What's the ransom? I'm sure they put a certain amount. Is that something you can disclose?
No, I can't disclose this kind of
Okay, but there's a ransom.
Of course, they are asking for money.
Yes,
they are asking for money. And like most kidnappers do, they are asking for money. And I understand that even before now, some amounts of money have been paid in the past. You recall that she was actually kidnapped with her husband.
Yes.
Who was eventually released, and he was released because some amount of money was paid actually. So they are still asking for money. They are still asking for more money, millions of naira, which has not yet been paid. Of course, they've collected money at different times. So we are just hopeful that she will be released.
Can you maybe run us through the emotional and of course psychological state of the medical world as far as this particular incident is concerned, and of course other kidnaps that must have happened in your space?
As you can see, my affect is very sad. I'm not looking happy at all.
You don't look unhappy.
I know, but I'm not looking happy. That's the truth. I'm a very happy person normally. But you can see that we are all emotionally stressed. I mean, this is very stressful. I've been talking about this thing on your station for 2 weeks. This is not a very good thing. I prefer that I should come here. We should be talking about things that how we can like I should be educating patients on healthy lifestyle. That is what I do. I should be advocacy, things that were going to help patients. I'm talking about someone that was kidnapped 8 months ago. It's something that's very traumatizing. See, most of my colleagues are traumatized. They are not just traumatized, they are living in fear. Because within, like I said the last time I was on your station, within the last 2-3 years, the number of doctors that have been kidnapped that I know are up to 10. In Benue State here, the number of I saw a write-up, I think on the Sun, where they were trying to analyze kidnaps in Benue State. The number of doctors that have been kidnapped just in Benue State here within the past few years, about 2 or 3 years, there are more than 5. I mean, this is just Benue State, and you have other in Cross River. A professor of medicine was kidnapped. in Jos, about 2 doctors were kidnapped just last year. You know, it's rampant everywhere, and we are looking like endangered species. I mean, so it's a very terrible and very sad, sad experience that we're having. My colleague in FMC Makodi was kidnapped some few years ago. Very traumatizing. So the medical world, we are not happy. We are living in fear, And I really plead that the government and indeed Nigerians should rise up to the occasion, and let's quash this insecurity and nip it in the bud, because it's becoming something of a menace, and I don't know that I should say an epidemic.
Let's just go for a brief break. We'll come back. We'll be on the last lap of this segment of the program. Please remember, you can always be part of Daybreak Benue via social media platform. Drop your comments, your questions, and I believe that our guests will be more than happy to respond to them. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers: Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity. Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers: Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Daybreak Benue, and we are here having a conversation on strike matters arising. We have with us in the studio Dr. Fanen Dogo, the President Association of Resident Doctors FMT Makudi, also the Deputy Caucus Leader of the North Central Caucus of NAD, in the studio with us. We're on the last lap of the program, so in this period of warning strike, that we got reports of situation reports in places like Abuja and some other few places in Benue. Do you mind, as a way of wrap up, give us a situation report currently?
Okay, we're not working. The resident doctors are not working. If you go to the hospitals, you won't see any of our colleagues there. We are at home. We are trying to develop ourselves on other issues, trying to spend time with our families, try to see how we can strengthen our own personal security, since the government is not doing the needful as we expect. And that is across the country. In other place centers across the country are also it's a total strike. So all our centers across the country are involved. So if you go to any tertiary hospital right now where there is presence of ARD or NAD, you won't see our members working. Like I said when I started speaking, we are very sad that Nigerians have to pass through this, but we had no other choice. Like we discussed, this is 8 months we've been trying to engage with the government, and truth of the matter is that they've not really responded. But of course, when we now went on strike, they started calling meetings here and there, threatening us that if we don't come back, they will not pay our salary, and they are trying to do something about
I was going
it.
to ask if there's going to be any legal, maybe any litigation from the government.
No, they cannot even. There cannot be any litigation. But they, of course, what they do is that when you go on strike, they'll say you didn't work, they will not pay you. And of course, we saw a notice like that from the Ministry of, I think, Education also yesterday, when they said they will not pay us for not working. I mean, it's very insensitive. This is our parent ministry that should be concerned about our welfare. A staff of theirs has been kidnapped for 8 months. We've not done anything tangible about it. The only thing they can say now is to come and say that they won't pay us salary because we are protesting the kidnapping of an individual that has been in captivity for 8 months. I mean, it just shouts insensitivity.
I remember the last time was it resident doctors embarked on strike? I had a similar threats.
Yeah.
Did they implement that?
Well, sometimes they implement it.
So doesn't that mean that it's forbidden for your profession to go back on a strike in this country?
No, it's not. It's not forbidden. It's not forbidden anywhere.
So is there a criteria that ought to have been followed before the strike was carried out? That there was a breach.
There was no breach. You see, we don't do things arbitrarily. Everything we do is within the ambits of the law. We take decisions based on what is appropriate at the time. So we don't just do things arbitrarily. And then in any case, we are not strike mongers, so to say. It's not like we enjoy going on strike. We like most doctors like their work. In fact, this strike, if you see anytime you see doctors going on strike, it's because they have done everything possible and they did not see any headway. And most times it's unfortunate, but government responds most times only when there is some form of protest or reaction. When you are trying to engage them peacefully, not all the time, but sometimes they don't seem to take you seriously until you say, okay, you're going to down tools, you're going to do this. Then you see them start trying to respond, do some one or two things. It's not supposed to be so. I mean, it's not supposed to be so. Why? What am I doing at home if I was supposed to be working? It's not as if I just want to go and wake up and sit down. Most of us don't like even being idle. And in any case, our profession is very critical to saving lives. I mean, you can't sit down and people are suffering and you're not doing anything. Nobody wants to do that kind of a thing.
Okay, now quickly. Now this is not the first time NAD is going on strike, just like she said. Severally. Okay, now what do we do, or what should government do to mitigate against strike? We're not just outside kidnap now. Every other thing that the government should do. Maybe they are not aware of what they should do.
Well, the government is aware of what they should do. The government is aware, but I think we have come to a point where a lot of people don't do their job. Yeah, people don't just do their job, or people are just insensitive. People should try to be sensitive to issues and do what they ought to do. I mean, if you are supposed to, for instance, if you are supposed to pay somebody for some service, pay. If you are supposed to secure something, secure it. Just do your job. I mean, there's no, on my own part, I should also do my job. You know what I mean? So just do what you're supposed to. If government does what they ought to do, and government is passionate about the welfare of people of its citizens, some of these issues will not even arise. I mean, and in any case, Nigeria is not the only place that people go on strike. Even in most developed countries, all manner of people embark on strikes and all that. Sometimes strike is just to call government attention to certain things that they may not be seeing it from the angle that you are seeing it, so they may not take it seriously. It's not necessarily strike, and not necessarily to fight government. Sometimes it's just to call government attention to something that they seem not to be taking seriously, which I mean is not a big deal, because even in our personal relationships, sometimes you may not take something as serious as I do, which I feel is very serious. I mean, so it's not a big deal to us. But government should just learn to engage. Even in unionism, we are no longer doing the part of fight. We are beginning to do the part of dialogue, superior argument, more peaceful resolution of issues. Nobody wants to be fighting with government all the time. Any small thing you are on strike, any small thing you are protesting, nobody wants to be doing those kind of things anymore. We prefer the part of dialogue, superior arguments, reasoning out things. Let's reason out things. If something is serious or is an emergency, government should see it as an emergency. If something is very important, government should see that it's important. so that we don't always have to be fighting, doing back and forth all the time. It's not, all these things are not necessary. We're in a civilized world and we should behave like people that are civilized.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question not just because you're a doctor, but one who have had very close experience with having loved one being kidnapped and having to live in fear because you've seen one too many of your colleagues are being kidnapped. What do you think needs to be done in Nigeria, to have or curb this issue of kidnapping once and for all? Because we have this kidnapping take place where in between there are security checkpoints, right? One can't necessarily explain or fathom how this happens, but it happens. So having undergone that fear, what would you suggest that needs to really be done to curb this issue of kidnapping?
All right, thank you for that question. Kidnapping is multi-dimensional. It's a multi-dimensional security challenge, and it affects. It includes both the host communities, security agencies, and all whatnot. I think first of all there should be a reorientation. And again, I think sometimes the economic situation has also driven people into crime. When people no longer, you have a lot of people that have lost their jobs, you have a lot of people that are out of school. There are a lot of faces to it. There's a socio-economic face to it. There is that there's a security part of it. Security is not strengthened. Many of the police people that you see on the road, if you ask them to go after kidnappers, they may not want to, because they may not even have the gadgets that are the equipment that are required to fight some of these people. Some of the kidnappers have more sophisticated guns or something than the security personnel. So I think it's a multi-dimensional approach. We should strengthen security agencies. We should reorient even the populace. Some of the communities that these people kidnap people and want to keep, they know them. So either themselves are complicit, or they are living in fear as well. If you talk, they will kill you. So there are a lot of damage. I'm not a security expert, but that is from a let me say, I think that is one of the things that is causing it, and it's holistic approach. But I think the security agency should be strengthened, and this is the work of security. So security should just do their work. First, I'm a doctor. I know what I'm supposed to do as a doctor. I may not have what it takes, because maybe by way of facilities or equipment, but I know what is right to be done. So if you ask me anything about the health profession, I have a better idea of what to do. This is the area of security. Security should do their work. If they need strengthening from government should strengthen them. It's not the primary purpose of government is to secure lives and property. So if government cannot secure lives and property, then what exactly are they doing? I don't understand this. For the better part of 10 years of my life, we've been talking about insecurity. What sort of thing is that? Since from the time of Jonathan, when we had this issue of Boko Haram, we have been discussing insecurity every blessed day in this country up till now, and it doesn't seem to be improving. Let's government just take this seriously. And of course, I can tell you that they've been spending a lot of money on it. If you look at the Nigerian budget for the past how many years now, security takes a better chunk of the budget. So what exactly is happening? We have all manner of security challenges, even here in Benue State. Across. Look at what's happening in Zone A. Look at what's happening in part of Zone C. Look at what's happening even in Zone B here. There are some places that farmers cannot even go. You can't even go to farm because of insecurity, and it's becoming, it's very distressing. And I plead with the government, I plead with security, they should sit up. You cannot imagine in Nigeria you want to travel and they're telling you that if you're traveling this distance, carry police escort. Why should I be traveling in my own country and I be carry police escort? So if I don't have money to carry police escort, I'm left to my feet. We were supposed to travel the other day and they were saying why we should carry police escort. You know how much it cost me to go and pay for police escort? This is a very emotional topic, because for somebody that has had, personally, I've had family members or people that are very close to me kidnapped. So when I talk about it, it's very painful. You know, the other day we had an interview with a TV station, and I happened to be one of my colleagues that has been kidnapped before, and he was sharing his experience. If the guy was almost crying, you know, because of his experience, he had been kidnappers. Then he's a doctor as well, you know. So it's a very very distressing topic, and I think the government should please help us. You know, it's very traumatic, and the government needs to really sit up and do something about it.
Okay, thank you so much for even sharing some of the personal experience with us. And when the ground is quiet and those at the hem of affair decide to shake the leaves just so something will fall out, they should remember that no man is an island and nobody is going to live forever. And so because of that, it's very important that we do not allow greed to take the better part of us. We do our job thoroughly and ensure that Nigeria is safe. This will be concluding on this segment of Daybreak Benue this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Fanen Dogo, for finding time within your warning strike schedule to come spend with us. We really appreciate it. Dr. Fanen Dogo is the President Association of Resident Doctors, FMT Makudi, and he is also the Deputy Caucus Leader of the North Central Caucus of NAD. We'll go for a break. When we return, we'll shift our attention to synergy between state, federal project delivery and development under Governor Hyacinth Yomem Alia. You definitely do not want to miss out on this one as well. We'll be back.
Crisis began in the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) Benue State chapter about 3 years ago, when a new ESCO was to be elected under uncertain conditions. Disagreements generated into factions and legal battles that lingered without a unanimous solution. Under the new administration of Governor Hyacinth Alia, another peace move was initiated with series of talks that have culminated into the general meeting of union members Wednesday, 28 August 2024. Technical advisor to the governor on media publicity and strategic communication, Mr. Solomon Yope, who represents the governor, conveys the message from his principal, who is interested in seeing that peace reigns in all sectors of the state, including the NUJ. Yope leads all parties to accept to step aside and give peace a chance.
And so when I was appointed by the benevolence of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, and I resumed work about 4 months ago, I realized that the NUJ was in disarray, and that's not correct. Especially as representing my principal, who was doing so much for Benue State. We needed the unity of the NUJ to be able to effectively carry out our responsibility of informing the people of what's happening. That's number one. And then number two, as a union, it plays a very important role in the practice of journalism in the state. Without the NUJ working, anybody can claim to be a journalist, and I'm the one having a problem at the end of the day. Because anybody can come to me that he's a journalist. I don't know who is certifying them, who is not. But when the NUJ is in place, all of those quacks are gotten rid of. And when we give information to the right people, and it goes out to the right sources, to the right places that you should go to. And this is actually an initiative of His Excellency the Governor, because he is concerned about the union as it is, and is worried that it's not been together for a very long time. He's worried about it, and he's feeling that we should move forward. In as much as he's the governor and he's not directly affected by this, he's concerned that everything in Benue should be working, including the NUJ.
The Congress thereafter nominates a 7-man committee headed by Vincent Nyinongo to steer the affairs of the union and conduct an election within 3 months. The committee members are Vincent Nyinongo from State Information Chairman, Teheme Ate from Radio Benue Chapel as Secretary, Grace Ichapa from NTA Chapel, Treasurer, with members including Emmanuel Antoine, Correspondent Chapel, Ene Ohaba, Harvest FM Chapel, Victor Baja of Voice Newspaper Chapel, and Manasseh Anongachia of Benue Television Chapel. After inauguration was carried out by Vice President Zonde Chris Ataka, the committee chairman Vincent Nyinongo promises to work within the stipulated period and hand over to a proper elected ESCO.
All we need to do is to appreciate those who are involved in mediating the peace process. We have arrived at this position that we are today, and have actually given us or returned back our love that we have for one another back to us again. I want to say that the situation between me, who leads this union in the next 3 months, and you, the members of this council, should be best described as the loans and the epiglottis. It is the epiglottis that block the saliva from entering the lungs, which keeps the lungs from breathing and continue making life to continue. And so you are like a epiglottis to me, who is the lungs now. If you keep protecting saliva from entering me, I can do all my best within the shortest time to usher in a new ESCO where we can make progress and continue to go on.
The Vice President Zone D, Chris Ataka, and ex-official Nancy Oshie encouraged members to have a common interest for the good of the union.
We have made progress. In my position as the Vice President of NUJ Zone D, North Central, I will give you a further tax. For the TA, it's a follow-up to what my ex-zonal official just said. That you will be with this council and these members from now till the end. So, having said this, I will finally say that I will convey this message to the appropriate body. With this done, with what I have suggested to you done, it is sealed. For that, I have given you that permission.
Let us come together. Let's have a brand new NUJ so that the government will also respect us. So today, whatever it is, I'm begging, I'm talking to you as a woman and as a mother, that whatever it is, let us bury the hatchet.
Former National Executive Member of NUJ, Dorothy Abelega, sues for progress and peace for a better and formidable NUJ in Benue.
Since this crisis started, we feel very embarrassed when we appear at the national. And they're saying we are coming from Benue, and Benue's crisis has been lingering for a long time, and we are like elders and we have not been able to settle it. I am very, very, very happy. And I particularly appreciate the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Diomemalia, for stepping in at this crucial moment. For him stepping in now is really a divine intervention.
Members of the committee and the Congress accept to hold on to the tenets of the union for a more progressive front. Manasseh Anongachia, Benue Television.
Welcome back from that break. This is still Daybreak Benue. Shortly, we'll be moving our attention to synergy between state, federal, for project delivery and development under Governor Alia. Our expectant to join us, the distinguished Sam Agua, a good governance advocate / public affairs analyst for this conversation. But meanwhile, let's bring you update briefly in the discourse. The electricity distribution companies.
Well, the relief is on the way for tertiary institutions and teaching hospitals reeling under huge electricity bills. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a 50% subsidy for electricity used by these institutions to benefit our federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. The various teaching hospitals will also enjoy the subsidy regime. Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tunji Alausa, broke the news Thursday in Kaduna. You see, a few days ago, we read that government is giving certain institutions, organizations, the approval to produce their own electricity. MTN was one of them, and now they are giving 50% subsidy to hospitals and universities. I think this is a good thing. This is the right step to the right direction that the government is doing. I know you are smiling as if I'm an advocate of the government now, but then when the government is doing something that is beneficial to everybody, I think we should commend them. The implication is that if you are paying 100,000, some people are actually paying up to 100,000 as electricity bill in their houses now.
Yeah.
So if you are paying 100,000 and government says, okay, you should start paying 50,000, I think it should be a big relief. And if you see the size of a university and the teaching hospitals and the amount they pay every month, 50% subsidy is actually a step to the right direction. So I don't know what you think about that.
I don't know. I'm just reading to that news. I'm having mixed feelings about that news. One, it's thoughtful, the part of federal government to subsidize these institutions because they consume lots of electricity. They are always in need of electricity, especially that of the hospitals, and of course the tertiary institutions. But I would like a situation where Nigerians are not paying so much for electricity to begin with in the first place. Right? And that can be controlled. We had a circular recently where there was should I say a memo on what Nigerians should expect, from these companies, their rights concerning this. I like that. I would like to see that carried out to the latter. And if that is carried out to the latter, then to some extent it will help solve most of the electricity problems that we are encountering. The bigger problem is not even much with in as much as we have it with the universities and the tertiary institutions, like the government is trying to subsidize theirs. But we have a good population of people that consume electricity, of businesses, small enterprises that constantly in need of electricity. Is that if they are being subsidized, then it will really help them grow in terms of carrying out their business. But let's just see where governments, instead of subsidizing, because governments always cry that they don't really have that money. Isn't that the main reason why they remove subsidy on petroleum to begin with? If they're going to subsidize anything in this country, they should subsidize petroleum in this country. I mean, Nigeria is not the only country subsidizing petroleum. We have rich nations still subsidizing petroleum.
The main excuse for subsidy was that they were running it like a cartel. So some persons were actually benefiting, and Nigeria as a country was not. So it's I still see that as a failure on the part of the government, because if you know the persons that are in the cycle of this profiteering, you should know as a government what to do. So if you are suffering the whole of Nigerians because a few are using the opportunity of subsidy to reap money from the people, then I think the government should do more than that. So that is not about whether there was money or they don't have money. It's about some persons robbing this country blind. But then let's talk about this electricity thing. In as much as they are subsidizing for institutions, tertiary institutions, and the medical people, they should also be thinking about the average Nigerian, who should also have his or her electricity subsidized, because people are actually paying through their nose to pay electric bills, and we really need this electricity to go on. In fact, anytime you have suffering, discomfort around, a few things make life easy and better for you, and one of it is electricity. Even if you are not using it, the fact that there is power, there is light, you are happy. So government should also take a further step into the right direction to subsidize our electricity for the average Nigerian.
Yeah, I expect this argument to come up very soon. What's good for the goose is also good for the gander. I expect hospitality business to also come up with this argument that they need electricity being subsidized as well. I would like to see how far this move by the federal government goes in terms of reactions that may come up from other agencies or organizations. But let's go for a quick break to have our guest seated for a conversation on the federal and state project under Governor Hyacinth Yomem Alia. Stay with us.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomem Alia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dobo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers: Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity.
Welcome back from that break. We have seated in the studio for a conversation the distinguished Sam Agua, who happens to be good governance advocate and public affairs analyst, and we are going to be having a conversation on synergy between state federal for project delivery and development under Governor Alia. Welcome to the break of Benue. It's always interesting time having you in the studio.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
My brother. Nice.
All right, first let's just get into the conversation between our states. Let me just get your thoughts on state projects that has been executed under this current administration.
Let me say 1.5 year down the line, it's been so far so good. There seems to be a lot of federal presence in Benue at various levels, either at levels of partnerships or outright dole out from the federal government of Nigeria. I want to look at projects even beyond physical infrastructure. Even if you look at things like interventions in terms of palliatives, in terms of other levels of program promotions, because there are a lot of counterpart discussions that have been had across at various levels in terms of either be it in agriculture, value chain issues, trying to promote trade and that. So I think fairly there's a lot the federal government and the state is doing, and that we give it to the fact that they are talking well, they are on talking terms. Yes. Because you must be on talking terms for things to work for you. You may say federalism is not automatic. You need some lobby, you need some goodwill, you need some level of outreach, and all that. So
there's a whole lot of negotiations.
Yeah. So far it seems the FGN, the federal government of Nigeria and the state, they are talking well. That is why we are seeing pockets of things in a short run.
How about the state project though? What's your thoughts on state projects that has been executed under this current administration?
I don't think I have a take, because I also have a road that passes through my community. If you want to take, I don't know what to say. All I can say is this tempo must be sustained, because for the first time we are witnessing in a short span at least some field largely around the communities, not just an urban issue. So you say take, maybe you want me to clap for the government, that of course I will always do that because they are doing well, but I don't want to clap for the government. I want to only commend them and say, hey, keep on the stick, just keep firing on. We are happy. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think? We need specifics now. That could have been responsible for this collaborations between the state and federal government, because we've had other administrations that we didn't really enjoy this kind of collaboration. collaboration. So apart from the fact that the state and federally are on talking terms, but there could be specific things. Every governor is on talking terms with the president. So what could have been the specific thing Benue State is doing that warrant this kind of collaboration?
Well, I will answer you. I will assume certain things and then speak about certain things that are obvious.
Okay.
You can't see it as the federal government and see a lot of development in a subnational, and you will not want to be part of that process, or you will not want to clap for such a subnational, which is an obvious fact we are seeing. Behind which is what we may not be seeing. Probably the governor has some soft spot, or has some strong negotiation skill, lobby skill, or whatever that is going for him. Yes, I agree that all states you must talk with the FGN, but not all states may get the same things at the same time or have some privileged things. For instance, you didn't ask, but I will touch on the recent fashion hub commissioned in Makodi.
Yeah, we're coming to that.
Okay, so
but
I should you begin to imagine that this is a big seed, because 10 years from now we are going to have their Gucci's from here. And if you look at the fashion industry globally, we hear of some $3 trillion. Locally in Nigeria is over a $4 billion naira industry thriving, and that it means we can raise a crop of a generation of whether seamstresses, whether tailors, whether fashion, whichever name that fits the entire value chain in the clothing. Incidentally, Benue should be thinking of cotton production now, because here is something you have that you have partnered with the FGN to get, and can't you go beyond this? So we should be thinking now that by in fact right away, if it is possible, we can even experiment irrigation around it. We should start planting cotton to feed into this, so that fairly 80% or a significant percentage of what we need in the coming years should even be sourced locally. Now you begin to see that it has opened up something that for now we may not see it. We are looking at it like the beautiful clothes you are wearing, only somebody has sewn them, has sold them to you. No, it's beyond that. If this works well, we are going to, it's like Benue becoming a fashion location or destination in the next 10 years. Now, these are the little pockets of things we are talking about, that alone. So, we hear in the media 48,000 jobs. That's not thrilling to me. It's good, but that's not the key issue. It's the fact that there is something that has been sown, that the 48,000 jobs is moi. It's nothing. What this would trigger, because if we now begin to partner with other states or other places, or ourselves develop cotton, go into so many things, I bet you we may this could bring, because since it is housed in Benue and is certainly ours, we have greater comparative advantage. So the youth have a channel of growth. I also see tertiary institutions begin to commence courses in textile and clothing, various, so that we tap into this space. So I just pointed one striking thing that happened last week also.
All right, but still that has not answered the question.
Okay.
The question was, what do you think the Benue State government is doing specially that is bringing these collaborations?
I get you. I thought I answered partly when I said first, there are lots of things happening locally that should naturally interest the federal government.
Like,
look at the roads. I don't want to quote, I don't even like the urban roads. Let me call the rural, because I'm a rural person. Okay. Look at the rural roads going on. Look at the infrastructure at the level of trying to build systems around agriculture. In fact, there's a project now that is encouraging afforestation.
Okay.
That is a collaboration with Accra and Benue State government. A massive thing that responds to environment, issues of climate. There's a whole lot going on. Now, I said, when you see a commendable practice or a commendable development, naturally you would like to be part of it. Like you are dressed well now. I feel proud to call you my younger brother. if you were in rags now, I would do as if I don't quite know you. I'm just trying to bring that perspective. Then I raised the fact that behind what we don't know, there could be something the government, as in the governor, symbolizing the governor, could be doing. Maybe I said he has strong negotiation skills. Maybe he has good lobby skills. Maybe it is general goodwill. Maybe because he's a priest, he's praying so much and God is making things easy. You know, a whole lot of things. The crux of what I'm saying is there is a state and FGN talking. So far, so good. Not entirely good. Not entirely good because the elite component of what makes up Benue is not on the same page with the governor. The elite component across whatever is not necessarily the partisanship, but generally there seems to be some disconnect at that level. I don't know who is causing it. I don't know whether they are bitter with the governor or the governor is bitter with them, or it's a mutual distrust. But there's an elite component, and it's a very strong level of elite. It's not just elite at levels of the Alitu Samagwa. These are elites that when they talk, so imagine such levels are not even so much, the widening, the gap is not so wide. Maybe it's possible a lot of other things too. But I don't want to talk much towards it because the bulk of the elites that are not on the same page with the governor are his APC people. So I don't want to, because it's very APC.
All right. Therefore, development will still have to come.
You are a rural. You said you are rural.
Yeah, I am. You know, you are asking me. You all know.
All right.
Yeah.
This synergy between the state and federal government. How have you benefited from it as a rural person? And of course, other persons are the part of the rustics.
Well, if you ask me specifically, yes, I will mention it also specifically. Myself and my larger family.
Yes.
I think collectively we've got cheaper fertilizer and also some fertilizer that was free that we got in our rural local farms. You ask me specifically, it's a big benefit. Two, there are some bits of databases that are being built that are recognizing clusters of farmers and farmers generally, which we are believing would trickle down. We are also being told that a lot is going on. We could commence irrigation on small plots of land and stuff. 1.5 years to go. I mean, it should please me because I never experienced that. Yeah. I had to, though a small farmer, I farmed smaller in the past years because I could not have what to take for bigger. This, at least, not the way I would like to farm, but these things came to me. I won't talk about how I find it very convenient to travel across the state using public transport, because I cannot afford what you as civil servants. I'm jobless. I cannot afford the luxury of put fuel in the car, a car that is not even good, that is rickety. So I now enter public transportation at a bit friendlier price than what the commercial. Immediately, these are the things I'm feeling as me and my family. So I answered in the immediate. So I want to assume if others are also feeling same or maybe better or that. And then the crux of it is that any moment from now I'll be going to my, in fact the road that they are trying to do that passes through my village or even actually terminates at my village is just some few meters from my house.
Okay.
So you know, these things should excite me.
I see arguments on social media space, you know, even recently concerning who constructed this road. Is it the federal government or the Benue state government? And that argument went as far as trying to even bring division or creating certain kind of impression. As a good governance advocate, what would be your take or your stand concerning road constructions or infrastructural developments here in Benue State, and the argument of trying to create a division as to give who did this, who did not do this?
I think, Mercy, is ignorance at play. A mix of ignorance and idleness, and even like a third component of unnecessary partisanship. Divisive partisanshipness, if there's even a word like that. You see, the federal government cannot do anything in a state if that state does not want it. Anything you see a federal government does is a partnership. Because if you want to even, let's look at the fashion hub. I want to assume the state gave land.
Yes.
I want to assume the state provided something. The issue of whether it's a federal project, it's a state project, is idleness. The crux of it is there is a synergy that has brought about this. For instance, if Governor Alia takes $1 billion and puts with the UN, and the UN takes $1 billion or 1 trillion and put on is 1 billion and does something, will you say it is not the governor that is involved or is part of this OECC's project? No, there are levels of partnership. Even at the primary school level, we have the UBEC, where counterpart funds are pushed in and that. So when people begin to say they should identify, extract this one federal, this one this, even federal roads, I don't know in Benue, but even federal roads, sometimes the states come in to do them and later talk with the federal government. So this discussion to me holds no water. It's just people trying to undermine, because a good thing has come. I've just told you what the fashion hub can do. It's a whole lot, because it has brought a new cash plant or cash crop for us, cotton. We used to do cotton. It is still being done by pockets of places. And you know everything about textile. The foundation is this cotton thing. It starts from there. People should begin to see it in that perspective. I, as a rural farmer, I should be approaching my agric education officer in the local government that, hey, this land, will it be good for cotton? Where can I get cotton seed? So we should even start forming cooperatives or systems to help in this process, so that we don't just have a fashion hub that materials coming from Dubai, coming from Kano, coming from everywhere. They will certainly come, but let's also try to see how we can build many other things than discussions around ABCD. Is it the federal government that owned where the fashion hub is situated? No. So when people begin to want to identify, like we have a good program here, it is Benue television. Then you begin to say, no, it is because you did this, yeah, this person did this. No, you are just belittling a matter. The crux of it is both the FGN and the Benue state government are delivering as one. We should promote that. We should encourage that. Then this. So if Tinubu decides now to buy me a shirt, and I have a trouser to wear on it, and a dress, and you are laughing, you are saying, oh, it's Tinubu that bought him the clothes. You're not being fair to me and Tinubu. Just appreciate the fact that, Kai, we love what you and Tinubu, he has bought you a shirt, at least the trouser, maybe you are the one that bought the trouser for me. In fact, the idea thing in today's sustainable development, if you look at the SDGs, is we have gone beyond this issue of soloness. Living inside, we have this collaboration. In the private sector, whatever they are calling it PPP, they have brought a lot of things like ease of doing business, things that are out to promote that nobody does something alone. But because we have a culture in Nigeria, let me tell you one funny culture in Nigeria. An engineer wakes up and puts up a company. He's only one person. Samagwa Engineering Company. Does the paper, registers and sit down. Nobody thinks of you as an engineer, let us come together. We may give the client better value. We may even, so it is a trend. And remember, Benue has suffered deficit in relationship with the FGN. Or I don't know what could have caused that, but previously, like in the past 8, during the past administration, significantly it was as if there's just no relationship. Nobody was talking to each other. So something has come now. So again, why it could be mischief, people could also wake up and are suddenly shocked. Apart from those that may want to cast aspersions that maybe the present administration is doing nothing, it is federal government that is doing its fashion hub. What is wrong if I have a house, I have land, I have everything, and you, Messi, come and build for me a house there? What is wrong? Where is federal government land in Benue to go, and is federal government and state government fighting at all levels? It's not just a Benue thing. No, they are not fighting. And by the way, you know that if state says don't come in, you can't come in. Even if you are bringing a brilliant thing, it won't fly, except what connects you as federal. Maybe your railway, or your federal rules, or your that. So I think also, and I'm appealing. that whatever is the magic that is working this, whether it is Fadalia's prayers, or whether it is his tact, or whether it is whatever are the numerous 20 factors working, let them continue to work. We expect to see more of federal government, state government partnerships in driving things in the state.
From listening, having listened to the president on a couple of occasions, I would sense that he wants a development to take place at different states, massive development. That will even help give him something to campaign upon if he should choose to come up in 2027 to contest elections again. So if a government is showing sincerity and people believe, and he believes that resources entrusted upon that government will be put judicious use, then I'm sure there will be some level of positive pushing towards that direction. And I guess this is what we're beginning to witness here in Benue State here now. Let's talk about some of the roads though. Some of the roads in Benue State are in dilapidated state, and oftentimes when I inquire, they will tell you, no, this one is federal government road. Take for instance, now we have one of the major roads that is in bad shape. I'm talking about this Urukum all the way down to Judges quarters down to the Air Force. That road at a very strategic point there is very bad and needs fixing, but sometimes I'll tell you, oh, it's a federal government road. What do you think should be done again, because such major roads shouldn't be in that state, because that is very central, you know, to Benue State?
You are asking what you have an answer. I want to call on Governor Hyacinth Alia. I want to call on the federal government of Nigeria, the same way they have struck for us a fashion hub, the same way they are striking for us other things that are in the pipes or in the works. Let them go out, because that stretch is very key, especially when you are tired, you are stressed, and you're coming into Makudi, and you discover that from an Air Force base or somewhere down, you're really going to spend 4 times the time we would have naturally spent to move across. So I think it's a good appeal. Something needs to be done. But even if the FGN doesn't come in, I want to believe, and I can say it publicly, that I want to believe this is something the governor should look into, because just talk with the FGN, try to see how we can resolve it, and let them pay you later, or if you like. What is wrong? What if you do it and they don't pay you? There's nothing wrong, because the road is about the state. Take for instance, a federal road passes through your local government, and you're a local government chairman, and there's a big ditch on that road. Will you wait and there is a federal government road unless FEMA or Ministry of Works or people coming? No, you could liaise with them and try to get some blocks to at least free some certain portions of the road. And this thing also goes to the very Air Force and people on that stretch. Air Force also needs to step up its corporate social responsibility. It's an agency of government. That is the road that they use mostly. Most people that are in the Air Force base, you are seeing, don't go towards Boko. About 90% or more come towards this way, either to Makudi or they are going to Abuja and coming back. It should also worry them that something needs to be done. Supposing they come up now to say, hey, the governor, Mr. Governor, let's try to fix this road. They can network with NASMEN. There's something that can always be done. So I want to appeal beyond just this government, even as government institutions. I want to believe you in the television. If you notice something entering by your road that is bad, you may not necessarily want to. You will find a way that if it is something you can patch, you can patch. I believe if the Air Force system in Nigeria and some other stakeholders align and talk with the state government, we can even do that road without we can even do that road and tell federal government that, hey, we did this road at 10 naira, but we have something to do here that costs 9 naira or 8 naira. Instead of paying us for this road, do this one for us. And these are the kind of conversations I believe either are going on or I'm proposing they should go on.
I'm going to be dwelling more on now certain roads, or what people term federal government.
It seems to be a road discussion today.
Not like necessarily road discussion.
Okay. I love roads.
It's one very critical aspect that Benue has been lagging behind. And if that this, at least for the roads infrastructure, is fixed to a large extent, or a good percent of it is fixed, then to some extent it will help solve a good number of the problem faced in Benue State. Take for instance now the old bridge and that road at Waterboard. it's in such a dilapidated state, and in as much as it seems as though there is no much use for that access because of the new bridge, a time will come where attention will really have to be drawn towards the old bridge side. And right now that place looks and feels so unsafe, even to me that is not an expert flying through that access. So how much more if they should now start an overhead, is there an overhead bridge at the Urukum roundabout, that an underpass, or it could be an overhead at the Urukum roundabout, and attention has to now drawn to the old bridge side where people now have to ply that road? Is it when we get to that place that we'll now begin to look for solutions, or we have to be more proactive?
I think the likes of Commissioner Imojime would have been very correct people for this poser, but it's good that it's coming to us, the users of this road.
Maybe sometimes it will be an oversight that we need to draw attention.
Let me tell you what, I wouldn't know the numbers. I don't know what it takes to fix roads, but let me tell you something. I don't know when the other side of the Urukum, the federal government, may get to that point. But prior to now, this should be a top priority. I want to lend my voice as a private citizen and the user of that same road. Because sometimes I use it for purposes of variety, just let me have a feel of that. And then by the time you have to climb on so many rocks, stones and a lot of stuff that are very sharp, and it gets so fun. But let me even digress.
Irons.
Do you know that it's just that we need it urgently? If I'm a governor, I'll give standing orders to the Ministry of Works and the Water Board to raise the revenue to fix that portion, because every day activities are happening. I don't know how much is earned there, but I do know for sure that I want to believe there's regular lifting of water in and out by either construction companies, individual use, and whatever. Even if it is kobo. Maybe we look at how much has been coming there, since that is the road that is creating revenue. But with the urgency needed now, I want to appeal to all structures of the state government to see to it that that works. But moving forward, there should be a responsibility on the part of systems and organizations around public facilities, because if you look at that road, it was actually fixed. Part of why you see that scatter is because of heavy duty movements regularly. Because if you notice, if you are driving towards that side, you are moving on a smooth road, then suddenly you just meet a stretch that maybe is like 100 meters or a little less that has this problem. It's a waterlogged area. There are a lot of engineering, but I think the crux of it is that it needs attention. It needs the attention now, because I have been an advocate of the state trying to tinker with running a rail system that is metropolitan. Let's have a rail that runs from North Bank to town, like on regular ships using that railroad, which is a doable thing. You know, they have the centralized rail. States can come into rail just like electricity. You can come into something that begins to help a lot of shuttling, because from the North Bank, maybe they will do it as much as the North Bank Park or so. These are PPP things. I'm not saying government take your money, take your FAC and do it necessarily. That also, because it's a very useful part. And like you noted, once they start the construction this way, like you see what is happening at the overhead in high level, it may take us, the underpass, it may take us another 2 months to be stable. Diversions of a lot of traffic will come this way. I want to even believe that in my thinking, because these are also very sensible people, they might have built that component of fixing that, taking cognizance of the traffic crisis or traffic calamity that may befall if that stretch is not fixed. So I think these are part of the things. But for me that is a rural man, I really don't pity so much you urban people, because I'm also going to have my rural roads.
Let's go rural now. Do you have any maybe feedback mechanism from the rural areas to let us know that yes, this collaboration between the state and the federal government has actually reached us? Because you just mentioned yours and your family and probably your enclave. Okay, but do we have feedback mechanism from other rural areas that must have enjoyed this collaboration?
I don't think known to mean there is a formal structure. But I want to take this time and appeal to the state government. There is something the federal government is doing. It is called community engagement volunteerism. I am a participant in that process. Yeah, I represent the part of my local government. It's called TIF in Vandike. What is our job? We are sending feedback to the presidency on community development. It is going fium, 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 fium like that. We send it to them, they escalate it. We also, when we note it, we also send it also to state authority. But because we have centralized it, we prefer that let it be the structure that we share it. For instance, I come to your community and I discover they are building a bridge, which is good. They are doing self-help effort. I can escalate it, I can discuss it and share so that the presidency knows what is happening. It's not just about going to report on what the federal government or state government are doing that is good. I want to appeal that we could have that structure in Benue at the council ward level, non-partisan, and we use volunteers. These volunteers, once you have a smartphone and you have the template, so that on the spot, if the governor wants, at a click of a button to, let's say for instance, I'm from Numangba council ward in Vandike, taps it and can also follow up on what is happening there that is of attention, because remember there are both good issues and bad issues. Recently I sent something on the platform that is exciting. A community school in my area has decided to crowdfund and network with the community people towards sponsoring one child through secondary school. It costs about 100,000 to sponsor a child from primary secondary school 1 to finish it. Now it's a best practice. I mean, it's a commendable practice. I showcased it because it is possible. Those little schools, because this is done for the indigent students that are unable to. These are the kind of reports, not just merely that flood or drought has done this or there's a communal crisis. We send good and bad reports. If the state does that, it helps. For now, I don't know what system the state has in place that these feedback mechanisms can be. One of them could be to jack up and try to engage more traditional institutions in the process of feedback. Although that may have its issues because they will not be totally very frank. If the government is doing wrong, they may be shy to say the government is doing wrong. Like the project I'm involved in, whether the government is doing wrong or right or what the people want, you just forward it. So that there's nothing like if you feel Tinubu has not done this way, you talk it still. If you feel something like this, you still talk it. So that system will help us.
Let's talk about the time frame for execution of state federal project delivery, because in the time past I noticed that it took longer time to deliver or complete a certain project, but now it's more swift in terms of completion of projects.
It's a matter of policy. E.g., if I want to buy this phone as a government, if I don't have up to 70% of the money to go and buy this phone or to network or to pull it together to this phone, there's no need embarking on. Previously, we have projects started without significant cash in place to complete them, and it gets riskier as you move on, that you have 10-20 of these projects and then you start competing for what to prioritize. So you end up like a foolish man who is only with 10 liters or 15 liters and leaves Makodi to Abuja, and after Lafia he gets stopped. He cannot go to Abuja, he cannot come back to Makodi, he cannot see fuel. So it means he wouldn't have even embarked on that journey in the first place. I think part of the success is that before a project, like look at the fashion delivered in time, they casted it, they agreed that this is the time we'll deliver, and they deliver. It's just a matter of state policy. And again, I'm also appealing to the government, please, state, local, whatever level, if you start something, tell us, the community, when this thing is going to end, so that we can also begin to police it. We can also begin to see, and don't start something you have not built a good resource base.
Well, I know Stephen, you're interested. Go
ahead.
Time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right. It's just one question.
Go ahead.
Comparatively, compare this administration with other administration, especially for the fact that in 1.5 years, this administration has gained so much. If you can do a comparative analysis.
No, I don't want to do a comparative analysis for many reasons.
All right.
Because I serve you here as your analyst.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all I can say is this administration has started well. It's on the right trajectory. It's moving well, and he should keep his eyes on the ball. If I dive into assessment, I may get a bit more complex. Permit me not to do that. But so far, so good.
And that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam Agua. It's always a delight to interact with you here on Daybreak of Benue. We have been talking about synergy between state, federal for project delivery and development under Governor Alia. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to the papers to find out stories that are making the news. Stay with us.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dobo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity. Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dobo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman.
Welcome back from that break. Let's now turn our attention to the papers to find out stories that are making the news. And our first choice of paper this morning is Leadership Friday. The lead story here says, it starts with a kicker, alleged terrorism financing. Labour talks tough after Ajeru's visit to police. You find that story on page 4. And the writer says, say we won't be intimidated. External pressure behind my travail, says NLC president. Above the masthead, Nigeria accept crypto, grant 2 operators interim approvals. You find that story on page 26. Now if we move over to page 17, $1 million US fraud. EFCC arrests syndicate impersonating Olukoyede. Let's move on to another paper.
Our next choice of paper is The Nation, and the leading story here says 50% electricity subsidy for varsities teaching hospitals. President has given approval, says Minister. Consumer Commission moves against arbitrary price fixing. FCCPC CEO Tunji Bello. Enforcement begins September. And we have some very pertinent questions here concerning electricity. Why can't researchers develop alternative power sources? Why rely only on discos? Why not use solar, wind, hydro to generate power? What happened to Buhari Government Power Initiative in universities? Above the masthead, Kaduna, Niger villages seek action on abducted monarchs. That story is on page 6. Sheikh Tinubu launches initiative to fight maternal infant mortality. The story is on page 4. Rule of law must serve all, says NBA president. NSITF, NICOM raise panel to strengthen collaboration. You see those stories on page 2 and page 4. Merci.
Moving over to Daily Trust, the lead story here says Nigerians paid 1.04 billion naira ransom to kidnappers in 1 year, says report. The rider 1,056 killed, 7,568 abducted in 1,130 incidents. Incredible intelligence lacking, says former AIG. You find the story on page 4 and 26. Shortly, just below the masthead, crash food prices in 1 month. Federal government tells traders. I guess I can imagine the reply of the traders. Crash petroleum prices in 1 month. I guess I can only imagine. Students seek review of federal government's 18-year admission eligibility, page 8. And if you move on to page 6, Zamfara residents killed 37 bandits. At the bottom of the paper, CBN report warns of rising financial strain for citizens, page 4. And that's it. I will permit us to wrap it up on this edition of paper headlines, and of course that of Daybreak Benue this morning. Benue Television News will come up at 9 a.m. and that is it's a good place to end it.
Yes.
My name is Mercy Upa.
I'm Steven Abba. Have a lovely weekend.